I love Monsters. But if you don't know, I sometimes wonder what's the 28 worst ways to die in it. Gladly, Goji Center is here to show us. You know, I watched your Jurassic Park video, it was great. But if you guys know anything, the Monsters I do like. I'm not sure if I like it more, but I like the Monsters. Okay, it's time to go.
Warning! This video contains graphic depictions and scenes that may be unsuitable for some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Today, we are going to cover the many ways Skull Island will brutally plummet you to the bottom of the food chain in the bloodiest and most gory ways possible. This video contains some pretty distasteful content, so if you happen to have a weak stomach, we recommend you don't eat any red pasta while you're watching this video. If this is your first time watching our content, we would be thrilled if you could join us by hitting that subscribe button and ringing that bell. Still here? Great! Now to the 10 horrible ways you could brutally die in Skull Island. 1. Death from above.
Your first exclusive explaining all the ways the Titans could kill you.
Skull Island's array of wildlife evolved in such a way that even some of the smallest creatures posed a fatal threat. The leafwings are the perfect example. Armed with a serrated bone trunk, this camouflaged animal could plummet from high altitudes into its unsuspecting victim. So let's get to the gory details. We have evidence that the leafwings could in fact sever human limbs. It is likely that these animals had an understanding of the anatomy of their prey, as they knew exactly where to strike in order to disable them and prevent them from running away or fighting back. The serrated edges on their trunks could have caused increased trauma to flesh, thus leading to an abundant amount of blood loss and certain death. 2. Zapped to death. If you thought the leafwings were horrible already, meet the Psycho Vulture, a close biological relative to the leafwing, but with evolutionary adaptations to not need camouflage and light receptors in their eyes. Its thermal vision allows it to exclusively locate potential prey. In this case, humans. If this wasn't freaky enough, these animals live up to their name by voluntarily ingesting a type of poisonous pufferfish which drives them on a barbaric craze to kill. To make matters even worse, the graphic novel Skull Island: Birth of Kong suggests that these animals were capable of aiming electric beams from their mouth.
I wish stuff like this existed in the movie. So, Kong's a kin. How can these guys just electrocute Kong? Now, some people wonder, will Kong have the electric powers
onto any target? If this was aimed at a human, the electrical current would be enough to cause extremely painful and disabling muscle contractions and ventricular fibrillation, which could cause immediate death. This is without mentioning the horrible second-degree burns. As horrible as this sounds, you would be lucky if it ends here, as the Psycho Vultures would most likely gore into you once they get close enough. 3. Strangled and digested alive. Imagine you're walking through Skull Island's dense jungle as a way to refuge yourself from deadly airborne creatures. All of a sudden, you feel sticky tentacles rain on you from a tree above. This is not an octopus. You have just walked into the trap of a vine strangler, a species of flora-fauna that feed primarily on things like you. But how did you get into this sticky situation in the first place? While you were walking through the jungle, your footsteps caused vibrations on the ground, which triggered the roots of the vine strangler. This animal-plant hybrid then dropped its many tentacles on you and roped you up into its wide-open belly, where you will be digested alive for a whopping 72 hours. Let's talk about this horrifying experience. In the real, non-fictional world, the Venus flytrap will capture insects in a similar way, of course, without the tentacles. Once trapped, the fly would then be slowly digested by special enzymes secreted by the Venus trap. Our vine strangler here would very likely function in a similar way, except more gruesome. As you are trapped inside, the vine strangler will secrete enough enzymes to first dissolve your outer layer of skin, including your eyelids. Keep in mind that you are still alive at this stage. The enzymes would then proceed to consume through muscle tissue, and eventually, throughout the second day, your organs. At this point, you're probably dead. Most people, however, would have died of shock before the enzymes reached the muscle tissue.
You know you can snap your neck very far? When you get strangled, just snap your neck to kill yourself. You don't want the pain of it.
After the third day, all that remains is a husk, or in our case, a pile of slimy skeletons. 4. Crunched to death. If you are someone who is afraid of encountering big cats or sharks, this might just be your worst nightmare. The death jackal is known to be one of the most hyper-aggressive, and in these terms, one of the most hyper-brutal animals in Skull Island. Monarch's superspecies profile claims that this animal has the agility of a leopard and is armed with the bite of the great white shark. And if this wasn't bad enough, they come in packs. Let's talk about how fast this bite can kill. A great white shark can bite down with a force of 4,000 psi. To crunch through a human ribcage, the death jackal would only require a mediocre bite of 742 psi, just to flatten your upper torso. In the graphic novel Skull Island: Birth of Kong, we witnessed Helen Karsten, a survival expert, be the first to get torn to shreds by these ferocious animals.
Monsters is darker than expected.
In a matter of seconds, but even the death jackal pales in comparison against the next terrifying killer. 5. Slurped alive. Skip this section if spiders terrify you. In Skull Island, they're crawling a gargantuan insect that literally skewers its prey from above. Meet the mother longlegs. This towering spider can grow up to 23 feet in height, though film and graphic novel depictions portray it as even larger. If you ever happen to run into a bamboo forest, make sure to look up. Now to the gory details. Once the mother longlegs manages to impale you, it would not comfort you to know that you will not die immediately. On the contrary, you are about to experience an excruciatingly painful death. Believe it or not, this unfortunate fella was actually still conscious for a couple of seconds while witnessing the monstrosity that consumed him as his intestines were rapidly siphoned through the spider's long legs. To get into more detail, the spider's leg pierced through this individual's throat, which made him incapable of breathing or screaming, and it most likely damaged his spinal cord, which paralyzed him immediately. In addition to that, the spider's legs are equipped with orifices that siphon the victim's juices and intestines up the long shaft, leading to the creature's stomach. We aren't finished with the mother longlegs just yet. If you happen to be directly under the spider, expect to be covered in sticky tendrils, which are dropped directly from the spider's open stomach. Like the vine strangler, these tendrils will lift you up into a slimy grave, sentencing you to a slow, agonizing death. Skull Island monsters seem to have a thing for leaving nasty leftovers. The next creature, however, leaves behind something more exotic. 6. Get stick-bugged. There is only one place on the planet where even trees themselves would like to eat you. Skull Island is home to the largest stick bug that has ever walked the earth. The spore mantis is actually a large, slug-like parasite encased in a redwood-sized tree trunk. This giant slug, however, is equipped with bone-crunching mandibles. If you ever happen to make the spore mantis angry enough to eat you, getting crunched to bits will be the less humiliating part. Once your remains are inside the parasite, its protein-rich sap will encase you in an exquisite crystalline amber, revealing your crystal-clear remains to the outside world once again. In the 2017 film Kong Skull Island, Jack Chapman bumped into a spore mantis that was not as large as the ones described in Monarch's superspecies profiles, meaning that this creature was very likely a juvenile. Had it been as large as its other comrades, Jack would have probably been killed by the stick bug instead. 7. Chewed to death. Swamps have been the perfect brewing pot for evolution to take its notoriously dark and twisted turns. To the unsuspecting eye, these harmless plants seem to be simple swamp trees, but what lies beneath is perhaps one of the most terrifying ways to die on this island. Swamp locusts use their tree-like legs as camouflage to make themselves indistinguishable from the surrounding vegetation. The real terror is found inside that lamprey-like mouth, which is home to many sharp, backwards-facing
Goji Center. Bro, come on, man. I was promised. You know what? I'm excluding this. This is no count. In my opinion, This is a Death from a movie. So I'm gonna call my... I don't hate Koji-san. But... to lie to your friends like that, to lie to your fans, and say these are all from the Monsterverse, they use Peter Jackson's, that's not nice. That's not nice at all. So yeah, I'm still love your channel, but can't support that.
Teeth. In the real world, these teeth are similar to the Congo's Goliath tigerfish,
So yeah, can't support
which
you.
are built to grip onto prey while inflicting outstanding amounts of trauma. Once you find yourself unlucky enough to be inside its mouth, you still have a lot more to endure. The swamp locust's tooth-infested gastrointestinal tract is a single continuous chamber that makes up almost its entire body. The backward-facing teeth will make it simply impossible to even think about escape. Getting punctured and chewed from all angles would cause any unfortunate individual to suffer a rather quick but most grotesque death.
Oh, it is from the Monsterverse. It just used the footage room. Well, Koji-san, I owe you an apology, so I'm sorry. Don't we know how much
Floating caves of doom. Let's pretend that for whatever reason, you managed...
Okay. It's time we finish this once and for all. Come on guys, let's finish this.
Matter of seconds, but even the Death Jackal pales in comparison against the next terrifying killer. 5. Slurped alive. Skip this section if... 8. Floating caves of doom. Let's pretend that for whatever reason, you managed to escape the swamp locust and found refuge on a nearby patch of floating land. You enter a cave in hopes that the danger had already passed. But then... this mosasaur-sized crocodilian feeds on animals and people like you who were tricked into thinking this was just another floating patch of dirt and trees. Given that crocodilians have the strongest bite forces of all time, it's not too far-fetched to state that this monster is likely to have the strongest bite force of all the creatures in Skull Island. This would be enough to crunch through you, your friends, and your boat. Assuming you didn't get crushed by those teeth, you probably are now sliding down this animal's esophagus. Once you splash into the Siren Jaw's dark, murky stomach, you start feeling an intense pain on your skin. You are now being showered and digested by the crocodile's extremely corrosive digestive acids. Crocodilians in the real world stimulate their digestive process thanks to deoxygenated blood that is directed to the stomach. This blood is rich in acidic carbon dioxide, which stimulates the production of the most acidic stomach acid known in nature, capable of dissolving flesh and bones in record time. Consequently, crocodiles are known to secrete stomach acid 10 times faster than any other animal. What does this mean for you? Since you are now in the most corrosive and acidic environment on the planet, you can expect to be turned into a bloody sludge in a matter of moments. But could being showered by acid hurt more than being boiled to death? 9. Boiled alive. Yes, you heard that right. There are creatures on this island that could potentially boil you alive. But before making it into the boiling pot, you first have to get caught by one of these. The Meyer squid is a giant cephalopod found in...
My question is this a tribute to the original King Kong vs. Godzilla because there was a giant squid? Or is it just because giant squids were cool? What?
Skull Island that resembles a hybrid between the Pacific giant octopus and a squid. Your trip to the boiling pot could begin in one of two areas. Number 1, it wouldn't take much effort for the squid to catch you with its 10 tentacles. Given that this is a freshwater squid, being close to a lake makes you fair game to get snatched from land and into the stomach of this monster. Number 2, this squid is equipped with beak-like jaws that are on top of a complex muscle formation that allows them to spin. So fast, in fact, that this rotary motion could create a vortex-like whirlpool that sucks any creature unlucky enough to get swallowed by the squid. Your trip to the afterlife does not end here. You're now about to experience what it is to be inside a biothermal creature's stomach. Once you plunge into the squid's throat, you begin to suffer second-degree burns. This is because you're traveling close to the squid's internal ink sac. This ink is used as a defense mechanism to burn any potential predators alive.
Isn't like, oh, should squid Inky was like, I'll burn you fucking alive.
If you haven't died on your...
Hey, James, can I ask you something? Come here.
Yeah, well, I need to... Here, guys.
Oh, yeah, pause the gun. Wait, let me pause the gun. Do you think this is a reference to King Kong vs. Godzilla?
Yeah, okay.
I think it might be, because the monsters really do like tribute in their old movies.
Well, not their old movies.
But Toho's, what do you think?
Well, the squid?
Yeah, do you think it's a reference, or do you think we just picked it because it's cool? Okay, come on guys, let's finish this.
Creature's stomach, here you will. At this point, besides being dissolved by digestive acids, you are suffering from severe third-degree burns. At this point, you don't feel any pain at all. You're fortunate that it's now over. 10. Shredded to death. In Kong Skull Island, Jack suffered possibly one of the most brutal ways to die in the Monsterverse. Contrary to what you may think, getting eaten by one of the larger skull crawlers would be better than most of the deaths discussed previously. But getting killed by a juvenile skull crawler would be far worse. The first reason why this would hurt more is simply because juvenile skull crawlers have a denser concentration of backward-facing teeth than the adult specimens. If you were to get eaten by an adult, you would...
So do we basically lose our teeth, and does the skull fairy come to take our teeth and give bones?
Simply get swallowed whole, but being eaten by a juvenile means you get brutally chewed and then swallowed.
Oh shit.
Getting clamped on by a juvenile skullcrawler means that any maneuver trying to escape this creature will possibly cause more damage, as these backward-facing teeth are constantly puncturing areas like your arms, legs, and upper torso. This high concentration of teeth also means that they will likely strike an artery in any of these areas, leading to severe blood loss and imminent death. To put this into perspective, getting eaten by a juvenile skullcrawler is similar to being placed on an Iron Maiden while having the doors slammed shut on you many times over and over again. After seeing the many horrifying ways you could die in Skull Island, do you think that you could survive living in the most dangerous biome of all time? Tell us how you would avoid getting killed in the comments. If you are really interested in putting your survival skills and island knowledge to the test, make sure to take our quiz to see if you have the knowledge it takes to survive. We hope you enjoyed our video, so if you want to see more, make sure you like and subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
If you're wondering, I will be taking that quiz, because I'd love to do a video on that quiz. It'd be really entertaining.
I have to finish writing this paper. I'm swamped.
Just go Grammarly. It's free.
Can it help with
reality simulations that might be disturbing for some audiences? Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back to Skull Island, the only place in the world where literally everything wants to kill you. Today, we will uncover an additional 10 monsters and reveal the nightmarish ways they will slam you to the bottom of the food chain in the worst ways possible. Be warned, as you will witness the most gruesome fatalities you've ever heard of. So get rid of that bowl of red pasta, prepare your stomach, and get ready to witness the new 10 ways to brutally die on Skull Island. 1. Spontaneous combustion. We'll begin with a not-so-bad one, and getting killed by this creature will be 100% your fault. Believe it or not, there are some gigantic animals in Skull Island that are so hot that getting too close would make you burst into flames. Fortunately for you, this species of animal isn't known for its speed. Enter the magma turtle, a biovolcanic reptile that can measure up to 40 feet in height. Although this animal is anatomically similar to a Galapagos tortoise, its composition is completely different, because these are literally born inside volcanoes.
So like hotter than Rodan, or what?
Molten rock runs through their veins, meaning that any injury inflicted to this creature could harm the attacker. Which is why this animal is the only creature in Skull Island with no predators. How can this thing kill you? Simple. If you stand anywhere near enough to make this guy angry, you will risk getting chased by this massive creature. Even though it's a turtle, a couple massive strides of this giant beast could be enough to catch up to you. If you're even stupider and decide to actually injure this creature up close, then expect to get covered in lava and suffer immediate third-degree burns on your
Basically, it's a turtle. Don't fuck with it.
Decide to actually injure this creature up close, then expect to get covered in lava and suffer immediate third-degree burns on your upper torso or your face, revealing burnt flesh underneath. 2. Impaled and paraded. Before we talk about how your rotting corpse will get displayed throughout the island, let us introduce you to this dude. This is a Skur buffalo, a 45-foot tall animal fused with plant life that spends most of its time underwater in open marshes. If you ever make enough noise to wake this guy up, we suggest you put down your weapons and retreat slowly. Failure to do so will get you an introduction to these. A fused, bony, horned shield that is about the size of the OV-1 Mohawk's wingspan. An impact from this location of its shield could instantly crush your ribs, pelvis, and very possibly your skull, killing you immediately. But where's the fun in that? Let's talk about the folks who think they're fast enough to avoid the shield. This unfortunate fella is now likely to get impaled by the horned spikes on the end
Bro, just fall flat on your ass. You know, fall on your face.
of this frill. And when he does, this puncture wound will most likely go through here, causing
What?
immediate internal bleeding, organ failure, inability to breathe, and a swift death. But guess what? This corpse is now stuck here for the next few days due to their entanglement with the vines that grow out of this animal. This corpse will remain there until it rots away. In this scenario, the victim dies relatively quickly. You might not be so lucky with the next predator coming up.
Basically, you die, but humiliation will follow you forever.
3. Dismembered. Truth is, there are a few other animals in Skull Island that can rip you limb from limb. But there's one animal in particular that can do it perfectly. Say you're lost in Skull Island, and all of a sudden you hear the same bird chirping repeatedly.
Sounds like a bird, but it's an ant.
Yeah,
Yeah, you sensual swearing about the Gora.
ants. And big ones, too. It's unclear how large these ants could actually get, but considering that almost every other animal in this island displays some sort of gigantism, we can probably assume that these were human-sized ants. If you know anything about ants in the real world, you will probably recall that these insects are some of the strongest
I don't think they were probably that big.
of all time, being able to carry 10 to 50 times their own weight. But some, like the Asian weaver ant, can carry 100 times their own mass. We aren't suggesting that Skull Island ants can carry something like a buffalo, but can most definitely ragdoll you around the jungle. And if this ant has some buddies around, get ready for the worst. Given that most ants in the real world are known to dismember their prey, you should expect no different. A small squadron of ants will begin snipping off your limbs one by one. The worst part is, you'll probably still be alive when your arms and legs are cut off. The best thing to hope for at this point is for them to cut off your head first. At least these clean cuts won't leave a mess like the next Titan on this list.
It's time for a kin to take you out to this island.
4. Crushed to death. There are many ways to get crushed by the plethora of large creatures in Skull Island.
I mean, if you go to heaven or hell or tell the devil or God that you got crushed on Skull Island, they're gonna say what way. Then you're gonna have to explain, huh?
But one Titan in particular uses this method to kill smaller pesky creatures. Titanus Kong finally makes debut in our 10 Ways to Die series. But why did he show up so early in this video? Well, basically because his preferred method of killing humans isn't necessarily too painful, but the aftermath is quite nasty. Throughout the Monsterverse, it is evident that Kong's most effective human extinguishing maneuver is crushing.
You know, it's funny.
Need example?
I sometimes saw a spider, so I punch it, breaking it, killing it instantly. So in a way, and you know, it's just like that. The organs exploded everywhere because the force of me punching a spider with full force. And I'm not saying kill animals, that's God's good. look, we're like Bugsticon. And like how I fucking smashed the bastard's brains open, Khan's gonna do the exact same to us. Actually, to someone in particular.
Helicopter pilot, crushed. Rescue dude, crushed. Guy running away, crushed. Scientist guy, crushed. Packard, crushed. Crazy guy on drugs, crushed. Preppy CEO's daughter, crushed. Let's get into more detail, and let's use this guy as an example. If standing upright, the first injury you will suffer will be on your skull and neck. The speed in which Kong's limb is coming at you will be enough to knock you unconscious soon enough to not feel the coming pain. The next injured part would be your vertebrae or backbones. These will probably bend violently, causing permanent back damage and paralysis. But that won't really matter anymore, would it? Once you're folded up and crushed between both masses, the limb and the floor, the extreme pressures will cause your insides, liquids, and muscles to literally explode out of your skin, but mostly out of your mouth and eye sockets, leaving an utterly disgusting mess on the floor. It's no surprise they usually don't show this aftermath in movies. But here, take a look.
Trauma aftermath.
5. Immediate paralysis. Perhaps one of the worst things that can happen to you is being unable to move while experiencing imminent danger. Skull Island jungles are home to this 60-foot-long snake that resembles vines that grow on trees. This tree-dwelling monster is longer than the now-extinct Titanoboa that measured up to 42 feet in length. Unlike this thick snake, however, Skull Island's vine snake is much thinner, which means it's light enough to climb on trees and camouflage itself out of sight, putting it in the perfect position to ambush an unsuspecting individual. Some sources suggest that these snakes have heads the size of a human's, with fangs as long as a finger. Additionally, it would be capable of constricting its victims to death. Let's see how this thing could kill.
Well, before we do, I gotta take a phone call, so just wait patiently to die, will ya? You're on death row. So, I looked at my Michael Bay one, and I thought it was gonna be regular, but it was this one. That's cool. And it even has a few unique advertisements, so that's cool. Okay. Besides that, we should probably get back to work.
The size of those fangs would be long and strong enough to possibly even pierce a human skull, injecting venom into the brain casing. If this is neurotoxic venom, this will immediately attack the nervous system, stopping nerve signals to your muscles and causing paralysis. Immediately after, your diaphragm would also be paralyzed, which means you won't be able to breathe. Death could occur immediately if bitten on the skull, and after a couple of minutes if bitten anywhere else. Immediately after, you would proceed to get swallowed by this snake's gaping and elastic jaws, where your lifeless body would be digested for the next couple of days. 6. Shadows of death. We can all agree that being out in the dark woods isn't really ideal. Now imagine being out in the dark on Skull Island. In the graphic novel Kingdom Kong, we were
I know weird how Kong looks. Wait, is that skin showing or fur?
Introduced to a new species of flying creature that were the size of jets. These gigantic armored bat-like creatures seem to have a wingspan of approximately 35 to 40 feet wide, capable of flying at high speeds and armed with a terrifying set of jaws and sharp talons. How do you get killed by these? Well, if you're a pilot, you might be the first in line to get your jet brought down. But if you're a defenseless spectator, get ready for a ride. Animals with these corporal flying attributes tend to swoop down and grab unsuspecting prey. Given that humans are small in comparison to these creatures, these talons could very well pierce through your upper body, causing imminent trauma and death. If you make it past this phase, don't expect to be let loose anytime.
You know what, Westwind? It's not human, what's a fucking ant?
Soon. These animals have anywhere between 14 to 16 extra long teeth that are used to pierce prey with each bite. For you, this just means that you would get impaled and ripped in half with just one chop of those jaws. Your upper body, along with your head, would probably still remain conscious for a few seconds until you suffer from hemorrhagic shock and finally die.
Go on, guys.
Seconds until you suffer from hemorrhagic shock. What's beautiful about 7. A beautiful sight. What's beautiful about dying on Skull Island? Nothing. But there have been instances where something very pleasing can get you killed. It just so happens that this island has something like that also. Let us introduce you to the Icarus Tiger, ironically known as
Spirit of Skull Island.
The Holy or Spirit Tiger. This name comes from its ability to make its spectator experience euphoria and mild dizziness once spotted. This red-striped white tiger is said to measure only 15 feet in length, but illustrated renderings of this creature depict it as much, much larger. Once you are completely enveloped in euphoria...
Now, remember, it in lore can give delusions, so maybe the size buff is like, it's God, it's a god, you know, it's holy, it's an angel, you know, it's a mystical being made of light and purity. Basically, my view is that it's all a false prophet. You see it as something that represents peace, calmness, and love, but it's really a beast that wants to rip you limb from limb while you're still alive, basically. So I don't believe he actually gives a damn about your life.
You would most likely be out of your senses, which is exactly how this tiger wants to prey on you. You would get killed in one of two fashions.
How do we know he's talking to God, or calling him God? Because the whole, you know, godlike thing.
One swipe of this tiger's paws is enough to send you flying at a great distance. The impact received by this would be enough to knock you unconscious or dead. 2. In the natural world, tigers will usually end their prey with a well-placed bite to the throat or head. In this case, this overly sized tiger's jaws would simply bite down and rip your upper body, sending the rest flying. The time it would take for you to die and lose consciousness would be after a couple of seconds. A beautiful beginning with a terrifying end. But getting killed by the next creature on this list...
You know, I'm gonna say something. Stop hating on the game mission from Spawn PS4. People are so mean to missions saying, oh, you know, oh, it's so bad and shit. Also, I said, oh, you know, people hate the mission because teens are in love. Bro, teens fall in love. How do we know? Yeah, they probably will break up, but it's expected. Teens fall in love. It happens every year, every day. I don't care. Oh, it's wrong. No, it isn't. It happens every day. Stop being a little bitch and accept love is love and people will fall in love. Maybe you're just a lone loser who hates a video game mission because I was a gay person. Well, you can go fuck yourself.
Will be terrifying from start to finish. 8. Stabbed to death. No, this isn't how a bunch of Iwi tribes peeps can poke you till you die. This is much worse. This place is home to another terrifying insect that you will not be able to run away from. Skull Island's gargantuan hornets are probably the most terrifying swarm of insects you could encounter, with good reason. Measuring about the size of a human hand, these I
really like what design, it's really cool. I'm so, Dan, you so big what butt is?
Aggressive insects live in the dense jungles of Skull Island, defending their territory at all costs. These insects can be compared to the real-world Asian giant hornets, which measure approximately 2.2 inches in length and can fly up to speeds of 25 miles per hour. Now imagine trying to outrun Skull Island's hornets. Impossible! Its deep-sounding beating of wings will be followed by an extremely painful barrage of puncture wounds.
Right in for his booty!
All over your body, including your neck, back, butt, and limbs. Getting pierced by several stingers is not necessarily the worst part. This is about to get much, much worse. Hornets are present in the top ranks of the Schmidt Sting Pain Index, And taking into account that these guys are venomous, the overflow of poison in your body would give you an extremely
Yeah, I react to aminos and stuff, so maybe I should react to them.
painful burning sensation. The superfluous amount of swelling in your body will make your skin much more sensitive to the touch due to fluid buildup beneath your skin. In a matter of moments, your body will be a fountain of blister fluid and blood. This is when the anaphylactic shock kicks in and you begin to die, losing consciousness, and your heart finally stops. Oh, and the hornets are probably still poking you. 9. Swallowed alive.
I was like, did we get him, guys? Did we get him? Did we get him?
In our previous video of this series, we were introduced to smaller versions of the Skullcrawler. Well, guess what? There are bigger ones also. Unlike the juveniles that will chew you to death, getting picked up by one of the larger ones will probably get you inside its stomach in one piece. Being a bigger Skullcrawler only means that this guy...
That's what I love about ones. Well, children are so like, yeah, I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you. But it's also way more classy, way more intelligent. When they kill you, they're not like, they're like, listen, child, I will not rip you limb from limb to be brutal. I will eat you alive. And I like it. It shows good maturity between the Skullcrawler species. The kids are so ready to kill their relatives alive. But the adults are way more mature. They will eat things alive. They won't chew on it, And they even lose their teeth to show maturity. I just really like how much the Skullcrawlers evolved, because, it shows that they were dumb kids and they became more intelligent. Yes, they are still hungry, but not like, I'm starving. I like that guy even though he has 50 TMT. He's like, no, I'm starving, but I'm not a fool. I'll kill that man and try to look for someone else. And I like that about Skullcrawlers.
will not pass on any opportunity to eat, since its hyper-adrenalized metabolism causes a permanent deficiency in caloric energy intake, which is below the level needed to keep these big guys alive. The fact that Skullcrawlers are always in a constant state of starvation explains why these large Skullcrawlers will go out of their way to eat very small humans. For them, anything counts. Now, let's talk about what it would feel like to be inside one of these creatures. As you're traveling down this animal's esophagus, you will realize that you would have reached its stomach once you splash into a dark pool of green, burning acid, which will immediately start eating into your flesh.
Hey Goji, sir, could you ever do the biggest Skullcrawler versus Khan? That'd be cool. Versus Khan in the newest movie, that'd be cool.
You will probably die due to the lack of oxygen and the inhaling of toxic gases. In a few hours, all that will remain is your bare skeleton after it is vomited along with the remains of other victims. 10. Sonic Fatality. Yes, sound can kill you. In the Monsterverse, there are a few titans with a roar loud enough to obliterate your internal organs. Skull Island is home to a creature that can do just that. Meet Titanus Camazotz, a gigantic bat titan.
But he doesn't even come from Skull Island. The whole point is he's an invader.
Whose special ability is known as a sonic screech. Apart from leading an entire army of the smaller creatures discussed earlier, this titan can apparently lay waste to a large perimeter with a sonic blast so loud that it can shatter entire buildings. But what can it do to humans? This titan is most of the time a cave dweller, which means that if you ever encounter Camazotz in a cave, then your time on Earth is most likely going to end here. A sonic blast from Camazotz will cause a shockwave so strong that any surrounding individual will suffer immediate air embolism. This is air accumulated in your lungs that travels to your heart due to instantaneous changes in air pressure caused by this roar. This abrupt air pressure change, however, could just skip the embolism and cause your lungs to explode due to the immediate buildup of air pressure. Your body is now thrown back in the air, blood coming out of your mouth and eye sockets. In conclusion, the shock of this screech alone is enough to kill you and your whole squadron. Sound waves resonating from all directions of the cave walls will literally make it impossible to avoid incoming damage. After seeing all the additional ways to die on this island,
I mean, the camera saw what's literally in Vader happened to Leander Scott, so realistically you would never meet him.
you one of the few people who still think they could survive? Let us know how in the comments. For more episodes like this and much more, next video. Thanks for watching much more.
James, I don't know I was there. It's what you're doing. I can't realize why. Oh.
Make sure you like this video and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
My life is like blind, very on time.
Matter of seconds. Warning. This video contains graphic depictions and scenes that may be unsuitable for some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Today, we are going to cover the many ways Skull Island will brutally plummet you to the bottom of the food chain in the bloodiest and most gory ways possible. This video...
What? Who's done the one? Oh wait. Yep.
That might be disturbing for some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Previously on this channel, we witnessed 20 nightmarish ways to die in Skull Island, along with the creatures that will send you to the afterlife in the most painful ways possible. But there's more. Another world, hidden deep beneath our feet. A place so hard to reach that even trying to get to it could even kill you. The Hollow Earth. Today, we will take a look at a brand new biome with new monsters and consequently new ways to get killed. So strap on, pay close attention, and throw out that bowl of pasta as we dive in deep at the new 8 ways to die in the Hollow Earth. Number 1. Nosedive to Hell. In some ways, hell would probably be a mercy compared to the stuff that could happen to you
Look,
down here.
I know I talk about dangerous stuff as, but Goji-san, as a Christian here, if you say anything is worse than hell, you've never read the Bible. So no. Now, look, I am not going to become a toxic Christian there, but no. It is not. This is not brutal in hell.
Here, just trying to access this place sucks. In 2 MonsterVerse installments, King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong, we witnessed 2 ways you can access the Hollow Earth or places near it. The first is through an underwater vortex, tunnels in the deep that pull down any passing vessels at high speeds with a risk of crashing into any obstacles. The most dangerous one is going to be one of these, Hollow Earth portals. And as we can see in this scene, these guys jumped through this weird veil extremely fast. Yeah, accessing the Hollow Earth through these portals is very dangerous because of a phenomenon known as G-Force. In simple terms, G-Force is a measure of acceleration. For example, 1G is the acceleration you feel right now thanks to the Earth's gravity, aka the force that keeps you planted on the ground. But let's say you are in a craft traveling much faster than the speed of sound, hit a gravity inversion, and suddenly stop. Not good. Your body is designed to pump blood in a certain direction. Any G-forces in the opposite direction could cause blood to rush to your head, for example, causing the blood vessels to burst in your eyes, instigating something called a readout. And then, if that happens long enough, your brain will basically bleed to death. You can imagine how painful this would feel. Massive creatures such as Titans aren't as affected by these forces, but you are.
Us I'd worry about. We're about to be launched 1,000 miles in 2 seconds.
Your best bet is to be on board a Hollow Earth anti-gravity vehicle, a futuristic craft designed to somewhat protect you from wonky effects of the Hollow Earth's gravity. But not even these could protect you from the creatures we're about to discuss. Number 2.
You guys just wait for for GXK to wait.
Masticated. For those that don't know, this basically means chewed. And there is a species of monster down here that does just that. The Phaetodons, or more popularly known as Doug.
Come on, bro. You're making Doug look so scary. He doesn't look like that.
Are quadrupedal creatures that thrive on the Hollow Earth's hostile rocky terrain in search of food. Their spiny backs make them difficult to see in this terrain, as we see that these guys didn't even notice them close by. So back to you. Let's say you're out in an open rocky area, and all of a sudden you feel the ground shake and see a 100 feet tall lizard with its mouth open come at you at fast speeds. Because you're so small, this lizard would have to turn its head sideways and snap its jaws shut. For you, this means that half of your body would be inside its mouth, almost certainly cutting you in half. If you've seen our previous videos on this subject, you will know that you probably are still alive for a few seconds. Your last sight will be of your mutilated body traveling down a long, dark esophagus, where you will be digested and your remains gone forever. Number 3. Clawed to death. If you suffer from coulrophobia, click away now. Let's rewind a little to what Doug ate earlier. Most people watching this video do not have any idea how big these guys actually are.
Who the fuck's afraid of Mr. Krabs? What? You're telling me there's a fear for crabs? Oh no, Mr. Krabs, he might get me. Oh no, I'm so scared. Mr. Krabs, oh, here's my money. You're a fucking pussy. If you're watching us, you're a fucking pussy. Okay, listen, I was joking, but it's just... Bruh. Pussy. Oh.
To what Doug ate earlier. Most people watching this video do not have any idea how big these guys actually are. These are known as arachnoclaws. Although they look like crustaceans or crabs, these are actually vertebrates, meaning that they have an endoskeleton, and in this case, an exoskeleton as well. What makes these guys so dangerous are these pincer-like appendages equipped with claws. These grab smaller organisms and bring them close to that beaked insect-like mouth, where any unfortunate crew member would get chewed into very small pieces. A single wound from those claws would impale the human build, causing immediate death. And that's if you're lucky. The more unfortunate people who get grabbed and placed inside its mouth would get chewed and cut into small pieces, leaving a bloody mess on the floor. Remember, if you see one, there are probably more of them around. Number 4. Sliced and diced. So you heard that entering the Hollow Earth through a portal sucks, and instead you want to try the vortex? Well, it isn't better down here either. During the
okay, Buzzer, how would you survive because you're so deep underwater?
More or less recent events that took place in 2019, different titans and other life forms revealed themselves to the Earth's surface, including these little guys. These don't have an official name, but we'll call this school of fish a genitor swarm. Each individual fish compared to a human is quite large. By estimating the size of these fish next to Godzilla himself, we can see that these things could be about the same size as some of the larger modern-day sharks. Remember, there is a whole swarm of these, but even just one of this type of fish is enough to dismember a single human. This fish's mouth is similar to the more widely known Dunkleosteus, an extinct armored fish with jaws that could slice through all flesh, bone, and armor. These clean cuts would cause your appendages to be sliced right off. A bite on the torso would mean your intestines would be released, attracting the horde of fish to finish you off. This would be a quick death, but now you're about to learn you were killed only because something else told them to. Number 5. Swallowed alive. So what commanded these fish to get you? Simple. An even larger fish. So large that this creature could be around 200 feet long. Again, there is no official name classification for this one, but it is commonly known as the murder fish, for good reason. Realistically, being this deep in the ocean would crush your body due to the immense pressure. But let's say you are wearing a diving suit capable of resisting these immense pressures. Now you are faced with a murder fish, a malevolent and crazy animal.
So, you're telling me I have a suit? Just why? I have a suit that can survive a war on the ocean? Meaning, it's basically indestructible. But because this guy is... I'll die? Really?
Whose primal instinct is to kill. A confrontation with an animal...
Guys, just wait a second. Guys, I'm back. I'm sorry, I just need a break.
This large would only end with you getting swallowed whole. But what's it like getting swallowed by a giant fish? Let's find out. Once this giant fish opens its mouth, the water surrounding it would get siphoned in, pulling you inside, through the esophagus and inside its massive stomach. Your diving suit can only protect you for a certain amount of time before the fish's enzymes disintegrate it. At this point, you will 1. Run out of oxygen before the enzymes eat through your suit, or 2. The enzymes eat through the suit and your outer skin gets devoured by the enzymes while you are breathing toxic gases. Talk about a bad way to get expelled from existence. Number 6. Ambushed and impaled. So the ground isn't safe, and neither is the water. But what about the sky? After all, you're flying in a futuristic craft that can resist gravity inversions. But maybe not this. In the hollow earth, there is no such thing as safe. Meet the Warbat, an extremely long serpentine titan with jaws that can crunch through just about anything. Not to mention that these spikes are venom-tipped. Realistically, your body would be too small for the Warbat to try to pick you off with these tips. A more feasible way to get killed by a Warbat is similar to what happened to these guys. In other words, to get hunted by these creatures, you would most likely have to be airborne. But let's pay close attention to these teeth. As we can see, these vary in size, but if you're impaled by these, the narrower width of those teeth would mean that you would get...
We get it. You're getting alive by a titan. We understand. There's happens every other fucking week. You know? It feels like personally, like I'm sorry, Coach, sorry, I don't eat, but for God's sake, it's so starting to feel the same. Actually, watching this made me realize that most of it's just, oh, he getting alive, getting alive. It's like, Goji, please, man, this is boring. Man.
Stuck. Your body would slide down the shaft and remain impaled until shaken off or eaten. Number 7, eviscerated. In GVK, we were introduced to another flying creature who would get up close and personal with its prey, the Hellhawk. Concept art of this creature suggests that this animal could grow quite large compared to humans, and possibly even up to sub-titan proportions. The smaller ones are the ones to watch out for. Say you try to find refuge in a cave, but then find yourself in the middle of a Hellhawk feeding frenzy. Stay down. Getting picked up violently by these creatures could possibly dislocate your shoulder joints. The pain has only just begun. Take a look at this beak. In the real world, hooked beaks belonging to birds of prey are made for piercing and pulling flesh. A small creature like you on the wrong side of that beak would get torn apart. If facing down like this fella, one bite from the Hellhawk would rip out the ribs or even the spine, not to mention your guts. But just when you thought nothing could get worse in the hollow earth, it will be the perfect time to meet the most elusive predator beneath your feet. Number 8, death from below. So it's now evident that being on the ground, in the air, and underwater are totally bad ideas. But what about underground? Let's go see what this guy is doing. This nice, flat, and soft patch of dirt and water seems like a nice place to build a shelter to hide from the never-ending horrors of this place. As he begins to build, it is now evident that he, along with everyone with him, are potential prey for this. This thing is known as a Shimida. This creature unfortunately never made it to the final stages of film development.
I don't think unfortunate is the word you use. I'm joking, I would love to see us in the movies.
For GVK, but it is acknowledged as a Hollow Earth residing creature. These guys burrow themselves underground with their mouths open on the surface. This mouth is made up of a total of 6 mandibles edged with sharp teeth. Inside is another set of jaws tasked with chewing anything that hasn't been killed yet. So once these jaws snap shut, nothing is coming out. The humans inside would now be dropped into a vertical chamber of death.
Oh, that's cute. They gave him a, question mark above himself.
As this creature's many teeth chew on these humans from all directions. These guys will become chunks of meat. Out of all the ways to die in this episode, this one is the hardest to escape from. One last thing. It is suggested that this animal could be in its first metamorphic stage, meaning that like Mothra or the Mutos, these guys could evolve into something even more dangerous. Do you think we will ever see these guys feast on humans in a future MonsterVerse film? Do you think this franchise will even continue? Let us know in the comments.
I think, personally... not sure. JXK. Probably not, honestly. JXK. Yeah, never. JXK!
For more fun documentaries like this, and more information on dinosaurs, kaiju, and ways to die, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.
Well, but guys, that was the 28 worst ways to die in the MonsterVerse. Bye, guys.